Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I'm your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, with my all-time most favorite, most wonderful co-host, Jen Albanese. Welcome, Jen.
Hello, Maury. Right back at you. I need to say that more often.
Oh, keep my ego boosted a little bit there. I appreciate that. I don't get that from everybody in my world, so I'll take that.
You are the best, wonderful, most stupendous
thank you.
host of the podcast. But
so,
welcome, everyone.
Super excited today. Dorothy Stromdahl, who connected through someone that I spent a long time with. She married a former employee that worked in my unit and was with me for a long time. And I got to know her through him and heard a lot about rec during the time because they were actually dating and got engaged during the time that we were around.
They were at Syracuse.
Well, they were dating and then they got engaged later on. But really just got to hear about that side of the house of things. And, so appreciative to our friends in the rec service world. There's such a collaboration between us. And so a
lot of ties with
I really appreciate those relationships.
Yeah.
And it's, whether you're in the varsity side, the recreation service side, we're doing so similar things and we're both serving the same communities. So just different pathways to doing that. So it's really great. But I was thinking about, when I think about rec, and I don't know why it comes to mind, that outdoor ed group, that ropes course group, and our experiences. I feel like that's been a memories to come. I somehow convinced Jen that we were going to do a cross training between our groups and that we would go and do the outdoor ropes course.
Yeah. And because we like to do a lot of like cross things between facilities and marketing. And I thought, I just had come back from zip lining on my honeymoon. And I was like, this is going to be easy. Absolutely. I'm so in for this. Oh my God.
Just some tears and some fears. It was just,
oh my God. We had to, now the zip line part was actually the easiest part. That was the coolest part.
That just lets you go.
That was nothing. It was the fact of like having to like climb over things and
in the air
and be like, try to work with the team and make things like fit. It was like a puzzle piece. Oh my God. At one point I was like, I can't do that. I was like crying. I was like, I need help. They had to come up and help me move on to the next step because I was like afraid of the height and afraid of the movement and didn't want to fall. Now, granted, the whole time we're harnessed and everybody is safe and we were never not safe, but it was a very good bonding experience.
I mean, it's
with our crew.
For those groups that like want to do team building, it is a really great way to like collaborate, learn trust, collaboration, how to work together in different things, and
learn about people and how they tick and how they handle like situations like that.
Everybody else in athletics, we always seem to have a young staff, so trying to like get everybody integrated is a great thing, and see recreation services is a good way to help with that, and across campuses. That's just another great example of it. And then I tried to convince you, and Sam LaSalle, who was working with me previously, was also very against this, if we could do it blindfolded. And you said there's no possible way. I really thought that would have been an interesting thing to do. Like you'd have to guide somebody else.
Walking on that wooden plank thing blindfolded, you'd fall every time.
I kind of more picture like my staff coming up and carrying you across as you're blindfolded.
Probably.
It would be like, I'm done.
I would have been blindfolded crying, like, just get me off this. Get me to the zip line part.
Our solution to figure out how to fix it as a group would be to carry you across
Hey, you're being resourceful. Like you're just trying to finish it.
It is a way to finish the challenge, but
exactly.
Just so great things. And we're really looking forward to Dorothy and hearing all her great tips after these messages.
Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @AthCareerPod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Very much. Today's guest's journey began as a student employee at Slippery Rock University, and she since has held positions at Bowling Green State University, Central Michigan University, and Syracuse University. She has spent her career helping students grow, building confidence, and find community through sports, wellness, and recreation. With over 10 years in collegiate recreation, she serves as the Associate Director of Facilities and Operations at the University of Pittsburgh, helping lead campus recreation across 5 recreation spaces that serve more than 30,000 students and members. At Pitt, she played a key role in bringing the university's 9-story, 270,000 square foot recreation and wellness center to life, guiding operational design, facility functionality, and organization development for one of higher education's most innovative recreation projects. For her, sports and recreation areas aren't just about competition or fitness. They're about connecting, growth, creating spaces where people truly belong. Along the way, she has mentored hundreds of student employees, managed large operational teams, and developed innovative staff programs focused on leadership, teamwork, and career readiness. We welcome to the podcast, Dorothy Stromdahl.
Hi, Dorothy. Welcome.
Welcome,
Hello,
Dorothy.
Thank you.
Well, Dorothy, you and I have a connection because your husband worked with me for a long time at Syracuse, and that's actually where you guys met, which is really cool.
It is, yeah, Syracuse has a very special place in our heart for sure. Small world to bring it all back together here.
You were over in the recreation side, so he kept telling me all the cool stuff that you guys were doing over there, and I don't know if he was telling you what we were doing on our side of the house, but probably it was probably something crazy.
Didn't sound like a whole lot of dull moments on either side.
No, I think everything stays pretty busy on both sides of the athletics world. But we really wanted to have you on and give us some tips and tricks about being in the world of rec, especially coming out of some of the amazing things that you're doing at Pitt with the new facilities and what you're doing around at the spaces and just, you know, having such a large population that you work with. So we'd love for you to share with our fans and people that are out there what's the world of recreation and what you'd recommend.
All right. So yeah, thank you both again for having me, and appreciate all you do to support our students and their growth. I think as I've reflected on my career and kind of what's gotten me to this point, a first tip that stood out, being that I work in facilities and operations, and that dominates a lot of the day-to-day. Big thing is, you know, it's not just about facilities, and it's about people, technology, and emotional intelligence that really dominates a lot of the day-to-day. Most people think about facilities work as fixing things, of, you know, setups, managing preventative maintenance contracts and everything. And that's part of it. But the modern role, I think, that we've really found is that it's equally about leading teams, about navigating evolving technology, and about really understanding people. And so I think whenever I hear a young professional or a student say, you know, I'm bad at technology, I cringe, because I like that just cannot be an identity that people have anymore, because it is everywhere, and anywhere and anything that you go into. And so I think that curiosity, that learning, that adaptability is essential in what we do. And certainly emotional intelligence being, you know, just as critical in navigating, because, you know, we work in very high emotion environments and what's going on day to day. And so being able to read people, navigate conflict, and really stay composed and communicate clearly through those situations are really, really essential in navigating the complex environment. And sometimes people along their growth, they miss that. They're so focused on the technical pieces. And really, if you assimilate those two, the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, it's amazing that you say, like, people don't understand that facilities is as probably more about people and working with them to make these things happen than it is about just like taking a screwdriver and fixing something. Like it really can't work that way, because I mean, look at how much property you're having to deal with. Like, you have to have a team of people that all have their roles in place and in check, or it's not going to work. Like it just, I can only imagine like how you build up and make sure. And if you want to be a young person or even a person that wants to be involved with rec and on the facility side, you have to be able to talk to people, able to work. And it's such a great a point that it's not just like okay, I come in and fix something. It's so much more than that.
Sure. And I laugh in Pittsburgh because we're such a union city, and so every trade has its unions, and so people are like, "What do you do?" You're like, "Electrical." I'm like, "No, don't let me touch those things." Like, not at all.
I have a phone full of people that I will be calling for things.
Exactly.
That's the way it works really well.
You got a guy for everything. You got a guy to go to for everything.
It does help. And I like that you push on about technology too, because I think that it's so underappreciated what it takes to get things done, whether it's the scheduling or the maintenance work or whatever it is that you're doing, people accessing the building, like all those things are so heavily based in technology. When did you start like really picking up on, hey, this has to be like a centerpiece of what we're doing with the recreational programs at Pitt?
Sure, good question. I think early on, my first role out of grad school was scheduling. So our EMS system, the robust nature of that, and learning from mentors that were like, we used to do this on Excel, and before that it was on paper. And I was like, that sounds horrible. And so, really leaning into how robust these systems are, and then moving into like our member management platforms that have the ability to just save you so much time if you lean into it, and then you get to spend time on the impact and building the relationships and doing all of that side, that I think realized like, hey, this is the key to like doing our work efficiently and effectively, and meeting and really expanding that reach to as many people as you can. I was never necessarily a tech person, but just, it was just exciting to see how much more you can do with just leaning into these different systems.
That's awesome. You're starting off with a great first tip. What do we got for number 2?
Yeah, and I think that our discussion kind of leans into number 2, and just learning to speak everyone's languages. I think a lot of people tend to point and say, I can't get my job done because someone didn't do X. And ultimately, we know the reality is that, you're responsible for getting your work across the finish line. And nobody's going to say, okay, yep, we'll bail you out because so-and-so didn't do this thing you were relying on. So ultimately, I think we find in our work is that you need to be able to communicate effectively with IT, with facilities, trades like we just talked about, security, marketing, athletics on the other side, business, finance, so everyone. And ultimately, it's not their job to learn your role. You have to figure out how do you blend all of those things to bring your vision to life. And so to do that, you kind of have to understand their priorities. You got to respect their workload. You have to be able to articulate your needs with clarity, because they're not going to, take the time to figure everything out that you need. You have to be able to, take that all in, learn their language, understand their standards, and really help put all that together and build trust amongst your colleagues. Because I think in athletics and rec, especially at institutions, we're outside the norm. A lot of our partners are used to putting together classrooms and residence halls and auditoriums, and we're like, hey, we want to make this work on a basketball court or in a fitness center. And they're like, I don't know what that means, but it should be fine. And we usually have to communicate like, no, this is how this needs to go. And unless you learn their language and like meet them where they are, the job will never get done, and it won't get done to ultimately impact students to the level that you want it to be. So I think that was definitely something I've learned along the way here at Pitt through bringing this big project and this building to life, that without being able to meet people where they're at and bring it together, like it doesn't happen.
Go ahead, Maury. I know you go ahead.
No,
you go.
I was waiting for you. So what I was going to say is I feel like I've so recently had a situation where I had a staff member who said, okay, I talked to somebody, but they said, hey, I'm not sure if I can get it done. So I just didn't keep doing the project. And it just caused so many issues. And you have to then go back and train them and be like, well, if you were assigned this responsibility, if you knew that this person that you were talking with had this going on, what was your motivation for stopping? And you can always hit barriers. Like it's very easy to find barriers. And I think the one thing that you really point out, like it's about working with people to find like what the solutions are and meeting people where they are, and then bringing that back to the group and knowing like that's your responsibility, that's your job. If you want to go and find reasons why something can't get done, it's so easy to just walk around and find somebody that's going to do that.
All the reasons why it can't happen.
The hard part is to go in and say, hey, what can we do to make this work? Here's what I was assigned or what I need to do, and find a solution to it. So it's such a good example of something that I don't think that people think of, or when they think, hey, I've hit a challenge, like that means just to stop. No, that actually means you had to go back and work harder to figure out, hey, where does this go to? And I've tried to impose, and I honestly was so frustrated. Person, I was like, why didn't you come back to me? Because I would have said to you, like, hey, what are the reasons for this? Like, let's talk through this. Like, if I gave you this assignment and I thought it was important enough for you to put the time and work into it, why aren't you trying to get it to the end? So like, what a great example and tip for people that it's about finding people and finding where they are to find the solution. So love it.
There's a really great a video of Barack Obama talking in a interview about how like one of the biggest skills he teaches young people is learn how to get stuff done. It's like everyone can point out problems and talk about that till the end of the day, but like every leader is looking for somebody that they can give a task and just know, okay, that's going to get done, whether small or big. Like that's everything.
Yeah. And it could be different like you might not have been done on the timetable you're originally thinking of, but if you can show how you get to an end result, you communicate what it is, there is a way to get there. And it is a great point.
I love that. I love that piece about the solutions. Like we talk about all the time, like anybody's feedback on my side of things from a marketing side, everybody has feedback on how they think we can do our job better. But I always like to challenge that back with, okay, you've identified something. Well, what's the solution to that problem? We can sit all day and find the things that are wrong, but if we can't find a solution to that problem, we're not trying to move forward and get better at what we're doing. So I love that of like finding people where they are to make things continuously be successful and move things forward, because everybody can get stuck, like Maury said, with a roadblock, but it's finding those steps forward, I think, is what's really key.
Awesome, Dorothy. Okay. Number 3, what do we got?
Yeah, no. So number 3, I think similarly is kind of reflecting on yourself, and that, really no one is going to design your path for you. And so, your career isn't handed to you. It's meant for you to build it and build it how you want it. And so ultimately, like leaning into tough and messy opportunities and really just taking initiative and holding yourself accountable to the outcome. I think similar to what we talked about on the previous one. And so ultimately what I hear a lot is like, oh, I wasn't trained on that, or nobody trained me how to do that. And what we know in this world is like, there's no possibility of ever training anyone on everything. It is a new day, a new challenge, every moment. And so, between that and at times people, wanting to, not work weekends, and things. And it's like, no one's going to teach you everything. And the 2 guarantees you're probably going to experience, no one's going to teach you everything. And you're definitely working nights and weekends. And so
right.
It's
you're not getting around that.
That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee.
And so I think just using those opportunities to, build habits and ultimately help design your career and your experience in a way that also builds credibility through those behaviors. And so just early on, doing what you say you're going to do, show up prepared, be consistent, treat every task as important. And so all the little things that ultimately, as you design your pathway, that's what's going to really set you apart and, really allow people to vouch for you and to put you in positions to succeed, I think is, essential for sure. And all the things you do, but certainly in the work we do.
I was gonna say it's the little things. Like I love that you mentioned that because like I think people overlook the little things sometimes, but like that consistency, that being on time, that staying a few extra minutes late, that extra helping hand somewhere, let me go help and do this. Oh, this person, this department really needs some help. We're dealing with this, as the holidays are approaching, we don't have as many students that are around, but it's like those people that step up and help, and those extra little things mean so much. And especially as an intern or a student getting into this industry, those little things set you apart. So the little things are so key, and I love that you use that as examples because those are great. They add up. So
I mean, in athletics, whether it be rec, pro, college, there's always the young professional or the student that you kind of rely on. Like they are kind of that builder start core that we all need to be able to get this thing off and running every day. For those people that are, trying to interview and figure out that might be new in that role, what would you recommend to like get to be able to identify those people that have the ability to generate those skills or be, in that role? Because that can be hard to find those right people, especially if you're pulling from a student population. Not that there aren't out there, but how do you, figure out that, hey, this is a person that's potential?
Yeah, no, it's hard for sure. I think, the way they present their information, I think is big. Oftentimes, I know in rec, we're of course big on teaching these transferable skills that whether you're going to be an engineer or a doctor or go into rec, all of these things are transferable. So what I cringe is when I see it on a resume and they're like, I swiped cards at the rec center. And I'm like, no, you provided excellent customer service. You problem solved.
Exactly.
You critically thought through issues. So trying that. So I think when I see a candidate that can articulate their work in those types of terms versus just very transactional, like, hey, I was here during this amount of time, then that tells me, okay, you thought about the full scope of your work and you've really leaned in a way that I know you're going to do that in return in this type of work. But of course, it's so hard and to get the full scope through an interview process. But I think little things like that, go a long ways for me.
That's awesome. That's a great example.
I like that because when you said about how like transactional, like, for me, I'll use the example, like, okay, like you put on your resume, I tossed a t-shirt, like instead of, which is great. And that's great experience. But instead of like, we
activate a promotion or engagement,
engaged the fans, like fulfilled the sponsorship requirement, like understanding fully what the task is and not just saying, I tossed a t-shirt, I did this, like I swiped an ID card. No, I did critical thinking on such situations of people entering the building, and like, so I love that, like the presentation and the understanding of it.
It is what you make of it too, right? Like if they're going to go above and beyond and turn that into something that has value to the greater organization, you can see that that's worth it. So for them to articulate that makes a difference. So no, I love that. I actually am going to keep that even more when we do some of our trainings. I'm going to use that example.
Say, don't toss a t-shirt. It's great that you toss the t-shirt, but why did you toss it? Too many people
are looking for the arm strength. Exactly. Isn't usually part of
card swiping. I think that's another good one. Don't put card swiping.
Yeah. Yes. No, you did a lot of other things.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's great.
Okay, number 4. Are we on it?
Yes.
Kept my numbers right? Counting can be hard.
You're number 4.
Yeah, so kind of building into that is really putting yourself in as many spaces as possible. I think saying yes to different environments, taking on internships, practicums, or other items outside of your comfort zone. And so I think one area that I always challenge my staff to when they go to conferences is like, don't just go to facility sessions, like go to intramural sessions, go to fitness sessions, and like follow up with the people that are running those areas too, to like ask questions to learn more. Because ultimately being exposed to those different functions, I love seeing somebody that comes in with facilities experience, but also programming experience, or has done things in athletics or housing or outside of it, because that's going to help you understand like how we support them in operations that much better, because you know the ins and outs of the work that they do, versus being so streamlined of like, I want to know everything it is about this one thing, but just broadening that experience, and especially early on in your career. And when you're a student, that's when you have the time to do that. You know, when you get higher up, no one's going to say, hey, go ahead and just take a few months and hang out with intramurals.
Exactly.
You know, that doesn't happen, unfortunately, or fortunately, because they don't want me over there. But more so, it's just, you know, take the time there to just show curiosity, show humility, that initiative, and people are going to really want to explain and help you grow in that sense. And just understanding the full picture, that's invaluable. And as you get upwards, and you know, at my seat, you know, I don't oversee the programming team, but I'm making decisions all the time at a department level that impacts the programming team. Right. And so if I don't know, you know, the ins and outs of what they're dealing with day to day, then it's going to come off tone deaf, and it's going to create rifts within the department, because, you know, I don't know kind of what that looks like. And I don't know everything, but I know enough to say, hey, I better go talk to them, because if I paint these lines on a field, like that's going to mess up their entire, you know, system. So right. I think just trying to really just be a sponge. I always recommend just be in spaces, absorb, ask questions, and that just pays off endless dividends.
Yeah, I so relate to this, and how it's like so much like cohesion of this across the world of athletics, of like I think of outdoor education with you guys, and like ropes courses and rock climbing. I was like, boy, you really have to like be like aware. And like similarly, like when I have to talk about the boathouse stuff and things that have to go on with rowing, like that is not something that you can just like pick up on. And I rely so heavily on like talking to the coaches and going out and being in the spaces. And I oftentimes like think about, you know, what you guys are doing and that same role, and like how it isn't just as easy as like, okay, I can just pick up a manual to get this right. Like you really do have to live in it. And like you said, it's much harder when you're higher doing all these other things than early on in your career, when you can, you know, get opportunities and take advantage of it. Like I'm happy that I got to like work a regatta here or there, because that gave me a sense of some of the things that they're doing. And I can only imagine some of the like crazy things that I feel like you guys do over on the rec side of the house. Like I just feel like there's so many different intricate things that are out there, and what a great idea to just take advantage of it every moment that you can.
Sure. I just had to send like a facility schedule to our construction superintendent this morning, and she's like, what is controlled chaos in the dance studio? I was like, I don't know. I just know it's a dance group, and I'm just hoping that they're just not causing chaos, but I know that they're in alignment. So it's like
nothing's broken also, yet when I go back in there.
Exactly.
Chaos
Fingers
is
crossed.
As long as chaos is controlled, you're good. You're good to go.
And I imagine in like your part more, it's like understanding just enough too, that like, because you got to check coaches as well. It's like, if you want this at the boathouse, like I know just enough about your world that probably isn't going to fly, but how do we
figure out something? And I think, but that's, I mean, across higher ed, like everybody has these different constituencies, and like, I know you guys get the same thing where it's like, okay, well, I have this member of the community that really feels like we need to have this. And it's like, well, the reality of that and the ability to do it are two separate things. So yeah, it's a good, if you want to learn a lot and figure out a lot of different things, the facility side of the house and operation side really will give you a challenge. Like I tell a lot of people, every day in doing what we do is never the same. So if you like doing that this is the thing to do.
Well, it's because you guys touch every other department too. Like
Yeah.
again, whether it's in rec or whether it's not, like on our side of things, like you're dealing with everybody from coaches down to the marketing people down to, like you said, the union. So you're working across the board. So to understand all of that is hard, and you really can't be. I mean, you said it earlier in our conversation, like you can't be trained. Like it's all based on your experience, kind of just like throwing yourself into the fire is kind of how it works sometimes. And that's how you learn, whether it goes well or it goes bad. You learn either way. So
Yeah. Like I think of what Dorothy's doing, like esports, and like I said, outdoor education has always fascinated me. I feel like that group is like a group that has like some of the most crazy things, like the fact that you're swinging from trees and going like that. That's a whole different world to me.
Not my thing. It's not my thing. So.
Zip lining on Skytop.
Yep. Oh
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. I won't even go into that. When I did that, I was up there crying and they had to come save me. It was awful.
We tried to do cross training with the marketing staff, and it just turned into a lot of tears.
A lot of stressful tears for just
a lot
me.
Of tears.
It was really just me, but that's okay.
Well, Dorothy, this is awesome. I think we're at the end here. Jen, throw it out.
Okay. So Dorothy, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah, I had to dig deep for this one, because I was like, I'm fortunate. I've had a lot of great mentors early on in my career that really foreshadowed the field. So like I understood with the lifestyle that kind of came with it. But I think the thing that's been building with each institution, and I feel like we're at a very much a crossroads right now, is that like data is everything, and metrics really are the backbone of all of our pitches, assessments, resource requests, communicating, and really communicating your impact, which is what we do day to day. And we always kind of say athletics, I know a lot of you are guided by wins and losses, and we are guided really by the impact that we can have in our general student body, and how do we help people, build the habits for a healthy lifestyle past graduation. And you really can't articulate that without some sort of impact metrics. And so I think in school, like obviously sport management, curriculum, rec, all that is a lot around theory and like practical examples. And statistics was always kind of that evil thing that you just had to survive unless you were like planning on going a PhD. But if I knew kind of my day-to-day now, 10 years ago, 15 years, I probably would have leaned a little further in and try to find some more practical examples to help understand that a little further, because I think that's just shown like exponentially grown over the course of my career, to where now it's like you can't try to pitch anything without showing like the metrics to really tell the story, which makes sense. It always should have been the case. But now I think we have so many more tools with the technology, we talked about before, and then really to bring that together to tell a story is powerful.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a person that's interested in data analytics and athletics in this era, you have so many opportunities right now. Like
everything.
It is
based on
it
data.
will open the door for you. So if you are a young person and you even have an inkling that that's something that you like that is a great field to get into, because it's so like you can go to so many different parts of the world of athletics and be so useful and really provide, whether it's, how to evaluate what you're doing, or how you're, like you said, creating a story for why we do what we do. It's such an important thing. So yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah, I mean,
no one said before too, so I give you a lot of credit.
Data drives all of our decisions. I mean, yeah, wins and losses are important for the coaches, but even if you ask coaches, like analytics right now is so important, and statistics.
That's how they get to the wins and losses.
Yeah, so for anything, like whether it's a ticket sale initiative or how we price our tickets, or everything is based on data, on what we get in the feedback, and then that kind of drives the decisions that we make. So that is across the board, and that's so huge. So yeah, Maury, you're 100% right. Anybody that's interested in that right now, that is the field. So
well, Dorothy, it was so great to see you. Thank you for sharing awesome tips And so excited to see what you're doing in Pitt. I told you and Alex, I want to get out there and see all the stuff that you guys got going out there. It's on my bucket list of things to do. So I want to get that trip and have you give me a tour of all the awesome places that you're putting together. So.
Absolutely. You'll have to take the podcast on the road. You
Yeah.
go to Pittsburgh anytime.
Whoa.
We'll do it from the esports room.
Wow, there you go.
So cool. That would be awesome.
You all did just have college game day out there, so this could just be the advanced version of that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Exactly.
we would draw that many people too, Maury.
Exactly,
Come on, let's go.
100%.
They got nothing on you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, this is great.
No, thank you both so much for having me. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your
Good
time.
chat.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you're following us on all your social platforms at Ath Career Pod and listening on all your podcast platforms, and new episodes drop every Tuesday. So thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye. If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.